Welcome, welcome, welcome to How to Love Your Life. This is week 4, so start of a new week. Y'all know it is How to Love Your Life in 30 days, but every week is a new week, and we're just looking at our own lives and being compassionate and learning things about how our brains work and all of that good stuff. So I'd love to kind of hear, how's everybody doing? By everybody, I mean all of you, any of you. Talk to me.
Well, I am I don't know how to record my points, but I'm taking my products and drinking more water and listening to the videos every week. So,
Those are all good things.
yeah,
Even if you're not reporting your points, I would say you're still getting some benefits.
yeah. Well, I mean, I kept them on papers, but I didn't know where to send them. So,
Yeah, so it's in the group under the featured pinned posts. There's one that you just click on a button and you just type the numbers in and send it in.
okay.
Yeah,
Anyway,
easy.
and then right now I'm sick, but
Oh no. Well, hopefully you're going to get to feeling better quickly. Kendra, how are you? I think you were about to chit chat with us.
It's good. It's just really noisy where I am right now. So.
Okay. No worries.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's been really good. I'm definitely drinking more water and journaling a lot more than I ever was.
That's awesome.
I feel lighter.
That's good. Okay. Well, I want to do a lesson here, and then we're going to open up for talking through it at the end. Sound good? So, I want to talk about the intentional. I've got some notes I want to make sure I hit on. So we've gone through the model. Are y'all doing okay? Like, are you doing okay with the journaling where you're writing your CTFAR? I know for some of you, this is new. For some of you, you've been doing it a year, but you're looking at your circumstance, which causes the thoughts, which causes the feelings, which causes the actions, which causes the results, right? And so in that process, I want to talk about what happens with the intentional and unintentional. So what normally happens is we really pay attention to the feelings and the thoughts, right? Like that's really where we hang out and try to find what's going on with our thoughts, right? And often what happens, so the unintentional is the one that your brain just automatically goes to, right? This is where it takes you. And, sometimes in self-coaching, which is what we're doing here, you maybe have a hard time getting to some other thoughts. Has this happened to any of you where you get it down on paper, but you're like, I don't know how to go somewhere else with this? And so I want to kind of talk you through that process a little bit more. And this is really super important because what often happens is you start doing this and you get a little better at it and you do know how to switch the thought. And what happens is you skip some parts. Like, have you ever been like, oh, I already know a better thought. I don't need to write out the whole model. I don't need to look at my results. I don't need to look at my actions. I don't need to look at my feelings. I'm going to just move to another thought. And that doesn't work. That's not what we're trying to do. Skipping that part is really, if you find yourself doing this and not feeling like you're having the growth that you would like, I would challenge you to go back and look and see how often you're doing it in your head and not writing it down, or how often you're skipping the part of the emotion, right? And so I want to let me see my notes. I'm gonna share my Remarkable. Give me just a second. I want to share my screen with y'all and kind of give you a visual on this. I love the visual side of this. Let me pull this up. The roosters are out of control, guys. Rooster Roundup is next week. Okay, almost there. Okay, now just need to share screen. Okay, I know I'm going to use an example of the business model. So we're, if you're in here and you're not on our team, I'm going to use a business one, but you can use this for pretty much anything. So let's say, because oftentimes what happens is we have feelings like I'm stuck. I'm stuck in life. In our business, it may be I'm stuck at this earning income. I'm stuck at this rank. Raise your hand if you've ever felt I'm stuck, right? Okay. So this is you now, right? And CTFAR. And we're going to say the circumstance is current. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Current rank is this. And the thought is I'm stuck. And let's go with the feeling. I think this is probably a really common one with this. It's hopeless, right? Hopeless about that particular thing. Not hopeless in general, but hopeless in getting results, right? Because you've been stuck there a long time. Or what you think is a long time, right? I could even offer a long time is a thought, right? And so what happens is, what are some of the actions if you're feeling stuck? And you can unmute or you can climb it, hop in the chat, but you're going to probably avoid the thing. In this example, you may be avoiding posting on social media. You may avoid follow up. You may, look at other companies. You may, do you see how you just start doing things that are avoidant actions? Okay. And what are the results? The result is confirm the feeling and the action and and the circumstance. You're going to stay at that rank feeling stuck, right? Okay. So here's what happens when I'm talking about how we rush to the other model. So you may catch the thought and be like, oh, I'm not stuck. I'm not stuck at all. I'm stuck's not even a thing. And you just may move to something else. But really what you're wanting to do is process the emotions. And if you'll remember back on week 1, I told y'all we would talk more about this. And I did see the parts of the replay with Trisha. I don't know if y'all processed any emotions, but we're going to talk more about that because what's happening is you're having this emotion. And if you're trying to skip feeling the emotion, that's toxic positivity, right? Like I don't really feel this, like you're skipping over it and trying to be positive all the time. That's not what we're trying to do. What you're wanting to do is, I actually wrote this in a way that I wanted to kind of explain this. You want to, if you're running to the intentional model and you're not finishing this, then you're running from the emotion. So for example, I'm going to use a different one. Let's say you are in the business and you have a fear of rejection. Let's say you send a message or talk to somebody and followed up with them and they reached out to you and you followed up and now they're not answering you and it feels like ghosting. Anybody happen to this? This is happens to everybody. You know why? Because people have stuff in their hands, they're busy. They don't always respond. Okay. So what happens is you don't want to feel the rejection, right? You're avoiding the feeling of rejection. And so what you really want to do is catch yourself. Oh, this is this feeling of rejection is what I'm trying to avoid. This is why you're avoiding doing the work. But here's the thing. You don't actually fear rejection. You fear the feeling of rejection, right? So what if you sit in the moment, and this is how I'm going to teach you to process emotion. This is in your self-coaching. So you can do this with your journal. You sit there and you go, like, seriously, try to imagine this. I'm going to actually stop sharing for a second. I want to see your faces. I want you to try to do this with me. Has anybody sent a message from somebody that you really wanted to answer you and they didn't answer you? Maybe you're sitting on that right now. Okay, close your eyes. They reject me. They reject me. They reject me. It's about me. They reject me. They don't like me. They don't want me. I'm rejected. This is what rejection feels like. I'm rejected. This is what that means. That's what I'm making it mean. Feel it. Where is it showing up? Do you notice a sensation in your body? Has your breathing changed? Is there a color to it? Is there a heat, a temperature, cool, right? Does your face flush with heat? Does your heart rate, how does it feel when you're rejected? How does it feel when they don't answer and it means something about you? You're making it mean something about you. How does it feel? Keep processing it. Look at that emotion. Sit with it. I'm rejected. They don't want me. They don't want me. They don't want me. They don't want to hear that. They don't want to do this with me. They don't want to hear about it. I'm rejected. Is the emotion getting smaller and lighter yet? Is anybody kind of getting to the other side of it? So you're noticing, oh, this is what it feels like to feel rejection. You should get to some point where you kind of feel like a sigh, like a, okay. When that happens, you can open your eyes. Okay. That's what it feels like to be rejected. Y'all, that's what you've been avoiding. You may have spent months avoiding work in your business. Did y'all see it took 60 seconds to process that emotion? Did you die? Anybody die on the call? You see what your brain has done? It's telling you that you fear rejection. No, you fear sitting with that emotion for 60 seconds. So I think there's this idea that we're going to go from like hopeless, let's say that I'm stuck one, hopeless, and we're going to move to I'm excited, right? I'm excited about my business. I'm not stuck. I'm excited. Okay. And when that happens and you don't sit with it and you don't process it, you don't process that emotion, the belief isn't really there, right? Like it's too big. Does that make sense? So the emotional processing is the part where you actually are like, wait, I can do this. Instead, so how can I phrase this? It's like, if you're thinking you're going to go, and we're going to talk about bridge thoughts here in a second. If you're thinking you're going to go from one extreme to the other, it's not. You got to feel the emotions, right? And go through them and then see, wow, I didn't die. Okay. I do want to move to bridge thoughts. Okay, I'm going to go back to sharing my screen. How did anybody have thoughts on that exercise? That was profound for me the first time I processed it. And if you're really in like, that was kind of like a dip your toes in, because I don't know if any of you are sitting in that emotion right now, but when you're actually in the emotion and you process it, it's so powerful to come out on the other side and be like, that's what I've been avoiding. Like, what? Like, and then what happens is the next time you're like, notice that emotion, write it down. Oh, this is what my body does when I have a thought that I'm being rejected. Okay. Because the next time you experience those physical feelings, you're going to go in your head, oh, this is just what happens when I have a thought that I'm rejected. And you notice it and you pay attention to it with compassion. Oh, that's all that's happening here, right? Okay. And back to the model, some of the time, the thoughts, like, I want to go into bridge thoughts. Sorry, my notes are not very good. I'm like, what did I say there? What can I read? Okay, let's go back to bridge thoughts. I'm going to share my screen. This is important in the emotions part. Okay. So sometimes you're going to have, like, let's go back to the I'm stuck, and we're trying to get to like where you love your business, right? And you may be like, I've really been stuck. I've experienced this. I'm stuck at 6 figures for 2 years. Okay. And I'm like, that's a fact. And when my coach was like, it's not a fact, it's a thought, I actually felt triggered. Like I want to defend and give her more evidence on why I'm saying this is the truth. Right. But it is a thought. So if you have a thought and you do get triggered by it and you want to defend it, then what you need is a bridge thought. You're asking too much of your brain to take, to go further. And here's the thing, the goal is not to feel better. Like if you think that in your working your business, or again, if you're not in our business, but you're in life, if you're doing something in life and you think I've got to get from overwhelmed or hopeless and get to excited and love it, that's not how this works. You're just trying to get to feel a little better, right? So if you think you're only going to work your business or do life from a position of I love every single second of it, that's not, you're human. Your brain's never going to stop offering you thoughts. You will eventually get to the point where you're like, oh, I'm really good at looking at these thoughts with compassion, sitting with them and changing them quickly. Does that make sense? And working through them, and my brain's going to show me. But please don't get the idea that you're ever going to be like, and I'm done. I have great thoughts all the time, right? That's just not how this works. Okay. So the goal is not to feel better, right? Like the hopelessness to excitement is not required to take action. And so this is where the bridge thoughts need to come in to connect. So y'all can see my screen. So in the old version thoughts, this is you. Okay. And this is your CTFAR. These are the thoughts you're thinking. And we want to get to new you, who is like, her thought is, I love it, or whatever, like really good thoughts, right? And this jump from here to here is where we want to go. But a lot of times it's not going to happen like that. This is so important for self-coaching. Is this good? Is this helping y'all kind of understand how to work your self-coaching better? Okay. So you know that this is where you want to get, but you may have to have, you may have to end up really, it doesn't look like this. What it really looks like is CTFAR, 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 CTFA. This is what we call bridge thoughts. This may be 6 months of work, right? This may be trying on new thoughts. Like I'm open to believing I'm not stuck. It may start, I'm going to give you some bridge thoughts, but like, for example, I'm going to use a different one. This is the one my coach talked about. And this actually is great because Trisha kind of touched on this last week. Let's say you look in the mirror and you think, I hate my body. Okay. I think we've all been there too, right? I hate my body. And we want to get to the part where I love my body, right? Don't we all want to look in the mirror and be like, I love this. It's fantastic, right? So going from I hate it to I love it is too big of a gap. So I'm going to give you, and these are really great if you want to write these down. These are some, because you can apply these bridge thoughts pretty much anywhere. But could you start with, I have a body? Oh, actually, let me back up. All bodies deserve respect. Can you believe that? That all bodies deserve respect? Okay. So, and then you could move to, I have a body. Yeah, I have a body. Okay. That feels true. And then you could move to, it's possible my body deserves respect. Do you see how you created like a general statement and then kind of led yourself to being like, well, if I believe that general statement, then I have to apply it to me too. So you can do that in a lot of situations. Then you can go to, I'm open to believing ... I'm open to believing my body deserves respect. I'm open to believing some people love their bodies. And if some people can love their bodies, I can learn to too. It's possible that ... It's possible that I'm learning. It's possible that someday I'm going to look in the mirror and love my body. I'm open to seeing. So all of these are bridge thoughts that take you from that place over there. I will say when I learned the model, I was the perfect example of doing it in my head and skipping to a better thought. Okay. But this right here, if you skip the part of actually processing the motion, then you're not really learning from it. Does that make sense? Like if you have something that you're doing or avoiding or any of that, and you can sit with the emotion and process the emotion so that you don't fear, example, like we talked about rejection. And now you actually are just, oh, I'm just fearing the feeling of that thing. So I can do it. And this is how you get to the point where you don't have to feel fantastic in order to go into the action of the ways that you want to change your life. Does that make sense? Okay, what questions do you have about this? That's what I have on training on the unintentional and the intentional, so that for your self-journaling, you can kind of use that. What questions do you have? What's that bring up?
So Lori talks about we want to change our beliefs. And
Yeah.
so the way we change our beliefs is the bridging process, right?
Yeah. Because you want to change your belief. And if you're like in the example of, I don't like my body, I love my body. You can write the thought, oh, I want to get to, I love my body, but your brain, this is so good, Carol. This is a great question. Your brain is designed to prove you right. It's literally its job. So if you are, and actually, I'm going to share my screen one more time. This is going to make so much more sense on the bridge thoughts. The reason you can't go straight over here to this one is that your brain has spent a long time. There's lots of evidence for this old unintentional model, lots of evidence. Your brain has already made a really great case for it. And this one, your brain does not have any, there's no evidence that this is true. And that's why your brain is like, I don't believe it. So what you're trying to do is back up to a place where you can believe you have enough evidence to believe that. So this is in the same way that this is a bridge thought. It's, yes, you're trying to find out, where is the thought that I actually can hang out and build my belief, right? Where can I hang out and build my belief? And then once you build the belief here, you'll be able to stretch it and start building bigger belief till you get to the point where you look in the mirror and love what you see. Does that make sense? So good. Does anybody have something they want to get coached on through this? Maybe something that you wrote down in your journal that you we could work together to build you some bridge thoughts? Or we can do open coaching here, period. So wherever you're at, let's talk through it.
Well, for me, I have a huge list, but I look at the list and I think, well, I won't call them because, so I'm mind reading what they're going to say or how they're going to respond. And so then I'm not doing my list,
Okay, so here, so I'm going to show you how you can self-coach through that. So you're going to need to deal with each one individually for about the first 10. And then you won't need to keep doing this. But in the beginning, this is what you'll want to do. So you will actually write, let's say, I want you to think of somebody on your list that brain's going to immediately give you an excuse for. Okay. Okay. This person is on your list to share. Okay. And your thought about that person, you don't have to call them by their real name. Let's call them just, what's the thought? Tell me the first person that comes to mind. What is the excuse that your brain offers?
She doesn't usually answer me even normally, and she is busy.
Okay. So is that a thought or a fact?
Part of it's a fact, part of it's a thought.
Okay.
Like she doesn't normally answer.
What is normal?
Well, like
Carol, can normal be defined?
I hear what you're saying. Okay.
Okay. So if you look and I've reached out to her 10 times and she only answered me one time. Like that would be facts. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you could put that in the circumstance line, right? So, and there's kind of, there's kind of a lot of thoughts. I'm gonna, and I know, I didn't mean for this to go all about business, but we'll do it. So I'm gonna take out the because you can have the thought she's busy. I don't believe that's really the thought, because you started with, she doesn't usually answer me. And what is your feeling when you think she doesn't usually answer me? She doesn't usually answer me.
I'm not at the top of her priority list.
I don't matter to her. I'm not important to her.
Yes, something like that.
Because if you're saying I'm not at the top of her priority list, that's another thought. So that's another, and when you're journaling, this is great. So I'm not at top of her priority list. Okay, give me another. Okay, so she doesn't usually answer me. I'm not at the top of my priority list. She's busy. So how do you feel?
Like not bothering to call her.
Okay, you still haven't given me a feeling. So in your journaling process, you're just throwing out more thoughts. So the ones that I've written down, which one feels most true? And that's the one you write down with your journal, right? So when we say she doesn't usually answer me, I'm not top of your priority list. She's busy. I shouldn't bother to call her, which is the one that's the biggest one.
I shouldn't bother to call her.
Okay. So if we hang out with that one, when you think I shouldn't bother to call her, how do you feel? I shouldn't bother to call her.
Well, I just go to the next list and person on the list, and then
That's the action. That's the action. I get that. So your action is skip her, but what's the feeling that you're trying to avoid?
maybe
so good.
hopeless, like what you said on the stuck part.
Hopeless. Yeah, hopeless. Feeling hopeless. And the action is you skip her. And the result is you confirm I shouldn't bother reaching out to her. Yeah. So this is what we call an unintentional, right? This is where her brain is taking her without thinking. So you could, in your self-journal process, sit down, close your eyes, and sit with the I shouldn't bother to call her. I shouldn't bother to call her, and process the emotion of hopeless, so that you actually get on the other side of feeling hopeless and be like, oh, hopeless doesn't kill me. Okay, I can still work through that even with that emotion, right? But we really want to get you to somewhere. So then what I normally ask myself is, do I like this model? And I'm going to say no. And so then I'm going to move to, okay, Carol, let's do an intentional model. So the circumstance is the same, this person on list, and the thought, I shouldn't bother to call her. So this is where, let's say the thought is I shouldn't bother to call her. And we want to get to I should, or I want to, right? I want to call her, right? But when you go to I want to call her, your brain's like, no, I don't. She never answers. She's busy. Right? That's where your brain is giving you all that evidence. You're like, I should call her. No, there's all these other things on why I shouldn't, right?
Yeah.
So we probably need some bridge thoughts here. This is a really great example of, you don't want to call her. Your brain's going to be like, no, you don't, girl. She doesn't even answer you, right? And so you need to back up some others. So if we look at our list that we kind of went through, could we be, and I want to point out, anytime should comes up in your journaling, that's causing you pressure. And when you you will literally actively avoid feeling pressure. So you're going to probably put your list down, get up and go make a cup of tea. You'll literally avoid doing the things that make you feel that heaviness or overwhelm or any kind of negative emotion, right? So could we go to, what did I write? I shouldn't bother to call her. Now you could go into bother, even your language in bother. So do you think that reaching out to people is bothering people? Because that's what you're telling, like, look, pay attention to the language that you're using and what you're telling yourself, right? If you're saying, I don't want to bother her, and every time you think of your business, well, you've now associated bothering people with your business. Well, no wonder you don't want to go through your list, right? So you could explore a model on bothering. Well, it's possible talking to people isn't bothering them, right? I'm open to seeing that it's just talking to people I already know and like. What would that look like? And that really, I didn't mean for this to go straight into business, but part of that is the position of what you're thinking, right? So if you're thinking I'm bothering people, your conversations with them are not going to be the best, right? Versus if you were thinking, oh my gosh, I just love sharing this with people. I just want to share my story and see if there's somebody else I can help. That you wouldn't, if that's what you were thinking, you wouldn't be thinking also, I shouldn't bother them. Those are two completely different directions to take your thoughts. So, how can you get to the you that is confident in her business, that loves sharing her story? What is she thinking when she reaches out to somebody? She's thinking, oh my gosh, I have another opportunity to help somebody. I can't wait to hear where she's at. Right? So if that's where you want to end up, then what are some of the bridge thoughts that you could write? It's possible that I can help. It's possible I can help her. It's possible if I just have a conversation with I can listen to her. Right. And so part of that, I'll talk a little bit of strategy here. Part of that is in your reaching out with people. This is really so important, because if you're thinking, gosh, I just have something so good, and I know that's true, I know your own story on the products, right? Could you go build evidence on what are all the ways that this is not bothering people? Like, maybe make a list of 30 things, Carol, where you're like, when I think of this story, I'm reminded on what I have and how I help people and how I'm changing lives. Like, can you make a list of 30 lives that are changed because you shared with them, including your own? Right? So if you have that list in front of you, would you also think I'm bothering asking somebody to take a look?
Probably
so you're
not.
helping your brain build you're helping. So go build the evidence that your brain needs to have the confidence to think, no, that's not what's happening here. I love sharing this. This is what I get to do. Is that kind of helpful for some of y'all in your journal, in your self-journaling process, to kind of see how that all plays out? Thanks for doing that with us, Carol. Who else? Somebody else have one they want to walk through that hasn't been coached on here before? Anybody not been coached on one of these 4 weeks sessions? I'm trying to get some of our wallflowers. Come on, come on. Rachel, have you been coached on one of these 4 weeks?
I haven't. I was trying to think of something to get coached on.
Okay, I can help you.
I I really appreciate you saying the thing that you said about when you're trying to do it in your head, because I think that because I've been working with Lori so long, I've already experienced what it feels like to get to that thought that's actually serving me. And it's so tempting to just oh, that thought's not serving me. What's a better one? And not actually sit down and write it down and put it in the model.
So I would even set down, so you're still so the whole thing that you've been doing before you had a life coach was avoid feeling the things, but you didn't know why. Now you know why you're trying to avoid feeling the things, and you're still avoiding feeling the things.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and I actually changed my goal halfway through this from
Mhm.
something about cleaning my house to making sure that I attend at least one live Lori call a week, because I just kind of feel like I need to like get back to the roots of this thought work and, you know, start
Yeah.
doing it the right way again.
Is there a
Better
right
way.
way and a wrong way?
Better way. A way that's going to serve me more.
Yeah. Can I challenge you to take that a step further?
Yeah.
You're going to get coached by Lori once a week.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Not
And I
not
actually,
just live, not just attend live, but literally go on, as soon as you get on the call, raise your hand, even if you don't know what you want to get coached about. And that way you're putting yourself in the hot seat. And it's amazing how, and I know most of you on here have been coached. Y'all, isn't it funny how your brain shuts down when you're getting coached? Like it is legit entire, like when you're watching somebody get coached, you're like, I can see this from a mile away, because it's not your brain that's built evidence, right? You're just observing. But when it's actually you getting coached, your brain's like, no, this is different. No, Shanna, this is different. This is different. Because it's true. You're like, no, mine's a fact. I know that all of the rest of it, what y'all been saying is just thoughts, but no, this is facts. I can show you the facts because your brain has built evidence. Right. So, that's so good. Yeah. So talk to me. What is something, is there something that's come up that you, like, if you could think of one that's come up in your journal, that you skipped over the processing that you would want to process? What you think is something that's come up in the last few weeks?
I don't know. I know that there are some. I'm just drawing a blank right now.
Yeah. Well, and I'll share kind of something that's helpful for me. A lot of times I notice there's a pattern. And it'll show up like I should blank. And it's like, so when you go through your house, okay, and you see all the things that need to be done, you walk through and you're like, I need to do that. Take a left. Oh, I need to do that. Take a right. Oh, I need to do that. Let me go see what you legit bounce through your house because you see something and you have a thought. So you have this idea that I'm scattered because my house is a mess, or I'm scattered because I have a bunch of unfinished projects. No, you don't. Because you could just as easily walk and say, I know exactly what I'm going to do there. I know exactly what I'm going to do with that. Can't wait to get that done. Cool. I actually, I'm going to circle back to when we all started this. Write it on your schedule, because if you you could go and I have a tiny house and no closets. I have a 100-year-old house. So the house thing is real, right? And so if you go through and take inventory of the projects and you throw them on a calendar, do you know, if you walk through your house now, you're like, I know exactly when I'm going to do that. I know exactly when I'm going to do that. Now you're feeling empowered. You've changed the way you walk through your house and think to, I know exactly when I'm going to do that. I've got that scheduled. So even like in my business, y'all, I think it's very easy. And I think any business, when I had my flooring company, exact same thing. I felt like I needed to check this all the time. This is how I communicated with my team and my clients. And so I took inventory recently in the last week, and I took inventory of all the apps I really need to check to run my business. How do I contact my team? How do I keep in touch with people that are asking me questions about the products? Or how do I help people get started properly? How do I communicate with my leaders? And I wrote them all down. And I decided for that section, how often do I need to check it? How often do I need to respond to my upline? Once a day is plenty. Like once a day is plenty. So if I know my upline's communicating in WhatsApp, do I need to be on WhatsApp every time I touch my phone? I don't. So I made communication blocks. I literally scheduled. So now when I pick up my phone and I catch myself scrolling, I literally ask myself, Shanna, what are you doing? this is not what you're scheduled to do. So I can put it down, because what happens is I feel like, oh, I need to check and see if anybody needs me. I need to check this. I need to check this. I need to make sure I don't miss any messages. That's not true. The truth is, if I schedule 4 quality times to pick up my phone, I mean, y'all are all in groups with me. Isn't 4 plenty of times? Isn't a 9 a.m., a 12, a 4, and a 9 plenty of time for me in between to pick up my phone? Does anybody want a business where they have to be on their phone all day? You don't have to. And if you think you have to, your brain is telling you have to. So I literally made communication blocks. They're on my calendar. So when I'm doing stuff that I want to do and I'm present in the moment and I look at my phone, and because this, y'all, it gives you dopamine hits. This is a real thing, right? So for me to look at that and be like, no, I know exactly when I'm going to pick that back up, and it's not now. And the other thing, when I pick it up, I literally have the list in front of me. I'm going checking Voxer. I'm checking my text messages, checking my Facebook and Instagram messages. Boom, I'm done. Because I'm not checking WhatsApp until a specific time of the day, right? Now, listen, sometimes do I go to it because I have time and I go intentionally? Yes, but it's different because I don't feel like I have to. Right? It's totally different when it's like, oh, I'm behind. I need to, and where this came from. And I feel like any of y'all that use your phone, how many times are you like, I checked my text messages, I checked my messenger. Wait, did I already check my text messages? Wait, did I already check messenger? Did I already check WhatsApp? And you literally, while you're on the phone, cycle through them. No, decide an order, put it on a note card, put it on your computer. When you maybe even make a place in your house where you check your phone, make a chair that you're like, here's my list. So if I'm going to pick up my phone, I'm going to pick it up. And I'm going to do it in this order and check these off. And when I've checked them, now I know I've put my eyes on whatever I need to put down on, and I don't need to come back to that for 3 hours. So powerful. Cool. What else we got? Are we really only 45 minutes in? I feel like we covered so much stuff today. Okay, so what's our intention for the week? Since we're early, we've got one more week, right? One more week. What do we want to have our intention for this week?
For my business, I want to reach star. I'm very close and have been very close for like 3 weeks. And it's not that I'm not contacting people, but I've got to do something different.
Is it possible that building a business just takes time?
It is possible.
Is it possible that you don't need to be star? I mean, like, will you die?
No, I won't die.
No, won't die. Okay. So is the thought because here's what I can tell you, the one that's tripping you. I've got to do something different. So now you're second guessing everything you've ever done. You're second guess what you're doing. You second guess where you're going. You second guess what you've tried before. And you're thinking, I've got to think about how to do this differently.
Yeah. And then
okay, don't move me to another thought. Don't move me to another thought.
Okay.
Listen, that's not for me, that's for you, because this is showing you what happens, right? Like, so this is why you do the journaling. You literally write down the thoughts, and then Carol, what you're doing, write down the next one, write down the next one. When you get 5 or 6 sentences in and you're like, okay, I got it all out. Now you get to look at it and figure out which one to take through the model first. You may on some days need to go through 5 or 6 models, or maybe 3, right? Maybe you get to the point where you can just do one, and that's totally fine. If you're focusing on the, I've got to figure this out, I've got to do something different, take that through the model. That's a thought. What's the feeling? Pressure, overwhelm. What is the action? I can already tell you it's spinning in confusion. It's chewing up time. Basically, what's going to happen is you're going to spend all week feeling like you're going to think about your business so much. You're going to feel like you worked your business. But if you actually looked back in the last 7 days and looked at how much time did I spend following up, however you work your business, I'm social media. So did I make posts consistently? Did I follow up with people? Did I keep those conversations going? Did I check in on the people that are using products? Did I if you go back and look at the hours, I'm going to bet if you're thinking, I've got to figure this out and do something different, I'm going to bet your hours don't match your thinking time. And this is why people in network marketing quit, because they get burned out. But let me newsflash, you didn't work so hard. You didn't work so hard that you got burned out. You thought about things and avoided emotions for so long that you got burnt out. You got tired of avoiding feeling hard things. And so you quit. And this isn't just network marketing. This is all things. This is marriages. Yeah. This applies. Carol, you're talking, but you're muted.
I said, I want to repeat what you just said because I thought it was good. You thought about and avoided emotions. Is that what you said?
I think so. Yeah, like you basically spend all your time thinking about it, but you don't actually do the work. I'll actually. So if you're sitting there thinking, now this is a checklist I have for social media. But this is my checklist if I'm ever frustrated in my business and I feel like I've done all the things, okay. This is really good. I promise it's worth the work, worth me finding it. And I've maybe shared this with y'all before. Come on, where's this list? Okay. So if you think I'm doing all the right things and this isn't working, here's some things. We'll close on this. This totally turned into a business call. And I was like, I guess that's where we needed to go. So if you're not in the business, maybe you should look at getting to business because you get great coaching to get through it. So here's some of the questions that you can ask yourself. Am I reaching out to new people and making new connections daily? Did I talk about the business at least 1 to 2 times a week with using thoughtful copywriting? So that would be for somebody using social media. Like I said, this is for people who are wanting to grow on social media. Have I gone live or shown my face in my stories consistently? Did I post at least once per day on my social platforms with thoughtful value? Did I invite my qualified leads to an event and make an offer to join? Did I make an effort to go to my team calls? Did I engage with my followers on their social media platforms by leaving meaningful comments? Did I discredit my warm market because I think they're dead or tapped out? Am I speaking with bold and unapologetic belief when I talk about the business opportunity? Am I speaking to only the best and most qualified people in my audience, or am I doing grabby posts? Did I expand in my target market by following new people and starting new conversations? Did I follow up with people who showed me interest in the product or business? Am I coming to my income activity with robot, uninspired energy? Was I unattached to the answers in my sales conversation? Was I unattached to the answers in my sales conversations? Am I in belief that people in my audience want what I have to offer? Did I host an online event, or like in our case, a launch Zoom with belief, confidence, and conviction? Did I talk consistently about my business or product in my Instagram stories? Did I take time to network with people that I see face to face? Did I stick it to my business hours and my focused work time? Am I doing the daily self-coaching practice and not rushing it? Have I sent appreciation messages to my recent customers? have I prioritized using, I know this case, it would be, because this is my Kristen Boss stuff, but if I prioritize getting coached, like Rachel said, have I prioritized getting coached by my coach or watching the coaching? Okay. I don't know about y'all, but if you thought that you were doing all the things and you read that list, could you stay thinking that you're doing all the things? And you don't have to do all the things. The point of the checklist isn't for you to do all them. It's to prove to your brain that you've been thinking instead of working.
And is it possible to get that list?
Yeah.
I will type up a version of it. It's proprietary. So let me change it up just a little and then I'll share it.
Because I
Okay.
think that's a really helpful jogging your brain back to where it needs to belong.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll make one that's more specific to what we do, like inviting to Zooms and stuff. I'll put that on my to-do list.
Shannon?
Yes. How's it going?
What's a grabby post?
A grabby post, because that specific one, she said, hold on, how did she write it? Am I speaking to only the best and most qualified people in my audience or doing grabby posts? So when she says, am I speaking to only the best and most qualified people? Are you like, when you sit down and think about it, who is your best person? They can afford the products. They're already on a health journey, like that kind of thing. I think a grabby post is where you'd be posting something that's not your target market. You're just trying to catch some low hanging fruit. I don't know. I haven't heard her talk about that specifically, but I would focus on am I speaking to only the best and most qualified people in my audience? I'm going to give an example of something that network marketers do a lot of time. They make posts defending network marketing. Like they literally, you write posts where you're like, you'll buy from Target, but you won't buy from your friend. Okay. Is your best person, does she need to be told that supporting small businesses and network marketing businesses is great? No. So don't write content for the people that aren't your best person. That's a perfect example. Is your best person need to be told that her health, this is a sales conversation, but it's basically in sales, there's different versions of awareness, right? So are people, like the best case scenario, they are your product aware. Okay. Like they're like, oh, like somebody just reached out to me. Hey, I was looking for collagen. I know you posted about it. Can I get some information? She is aware of my product. Okay. Somebody who's less aware would be somebody who is solution aware, right? I know that collagen is a solution to aging. Okay. But they don't know that I have a product. Like, does that make sense? They're not aware of my product, but they're aware of collagen. So you see, if you were writing social media content for somebody who is looking at collagens, but they don't know about yours, you would talk about the differences between yours, right? Right? Because that moves them from solution aware to product aware. Okay. Go back even further. Before they're solution aware, they're problem aware. Right? So if they're problem aware, they know they look in the mirror and they're seeing more wrinkles, but they don't know what the solution is. So do you see how your content, what you're writing there is different? You're taking them from problem aware to solution aware, but you wouldn't maybe take them straight from your, like, those are different. It's like, hey, are you looking in the mirror and being like, where did the last 10 years go? It's finally showing up. Like I did a post where I talked about, hey, if you're looking around and all the kids are wearing what you wore in high school, it's probably time that you add collagen to your regimen. And they're like, oh yeah, who's not looking around? And I'm looking at the prom photos and I'm like, those dudes are dressing like 90s cowboys. Like what? They're dressing like their dad's dressed, right? It's a thing in Texas, y'all. It's a thing. Like 90s cowboys is like the style. Okay, so that's problem aware. And I think if you even go back further before problem, they're problem unaware. Like, so somebody in their 20s is aging on their radar. It's not a problem for them yet. Right? So then you would write content to make them problem aware. So Kendra, I know you're either Bailey, y'all are both younger. If you're speaking to your market, you would write content that is written about, you would write content about, hey, you know, I know you're looking in the mirror and you're like, these are the best years of my life. But listen, all my friends that are in their 40s say you want to add collagen long before you need it. Right? That's going to be different. Do you see how you can write posts on collagen and really do a whole span? So if you're feeling in the flow right now, I'd sit down and write them, right? Like, so if you're sitting here going, I can do this, and you're in creative mode, do not get up from your desk, stay in flow, hang out. Because the whole point of the thought model is to get you to a point where you're like, I can do this. I love this. I feel empowered. And that's when you sit in the thing and get creative. Your brain is going to build this for you so quickly. You're going to be like, wow, working your business when you're not avoiding negative emotions is so easy and so fast. Bobby Joe, hey, I'm young. You are young for sure. So, okay. Any other questions? We're hitting right at the top of the hour. This was good. I don't know how much this was a how to love your life or how to love your business or how to love everything, but I think we covered a lot of stuff.
Well, it's pretty hard to love your business if you're feeling a lot of emotions that are negative. So
Yeah,
I'd say
again.
it's loving our lives.
Okay, so I would write the thought, it's hard to love my business when I'm having thoughts. Is that bringing compassion? Because part of what we're doing here is trying to look at our thoughts with compassion.
I was just saying in relationship to loving our lives, I think we are loving our lives by fixing our thoughts.
Yeah. Just learning to think new thoughts. It's, you know, it's like, in my Jesus journey, like I always grew up believing in God, but I didn't really have a Jesus intersection until really maybe 6-7 years ago. And, in talking to one of my mentors, it's like you start your convictions change, right? Like the way I live my life is entirely different. If you looked at what I did with my time, my relationships, everything, I think that when you are in it, didn't mean to make this a Jesus call, but here we are. I do think your life should look like you got hit by a Mack truck, right? The way that I dated, the way that I it should look different because that's what happens, right? But I remember talking to my friend Amanda and I'm like, I still am doing things I don't want to do, right? Paul talks about this. It's like, I'm still reacting. I'm still triggered. I'm still saying things. I still am doing and saying things that are not in line with what I believe anymore. Right. And I remember having this conversation where I'm like, but I'm catching it faster, right? Like where before something would happen and I would handle it in a way and I would maybe stay there for weeks and like confident that I had handled it correctly, you know, and maybe I was ugly to somebody or like maybe the way that I communicated with people or something like that. And I would stay on it and defend how I handled it correctly. Right. And then I'd maybe get to the point way down the road where I'm like, ooh, I look back and I don't like how I handled that. And then maybe I'm getting to the point where and I remember I had a situation where I had somebody take care of my animals and some of them died because they didn't have water. And I totally got really mad and I handled it really bad. And I lashed out at her, right? Because I'm thinking, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I will say that time I apologized within hours. Within hours, I was able to see where she was coming from and how and I y'all, it's taken years of Jesus intersecting in my life for me to go from standing my ground for years, defending my right to be defended, to going to, a couple of hours sitting in a fence and I'm out of it. So my point to that is you learn to catch it faster, the Holy Spirit, if we're talking Jesus, or in mindset work, in actually taking the thoughts, looking at the thoughts and processing them. I personally don't think this work is divided. I think it all overlaps and it's really, really good. But you don't have to have my belief system to get the value of the thought model. So, okay. I love your faces. Thank you for hanging out with me this Saturday. I'm going to run to my farmer's market and catch it before it closes in the next hour and see what kind of good stuff I can get. I will see y'all later. Bye.
Have a great weekend. Thank you.
Y'all too. Thank you, Amber.
Thank you.